Hey, what's poppin' fellas? I wanted to give you all a video that's a little bit different. Today I'm going to bring you some tips and tricks on how to be better at Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. As you all know, this is my personal favorite video game, and there's nothing I enjoy more than the gameplay. As you know, Sora is coming to Smash, and I figured many people are interested in the franchise due to its expansion. And if you guys are familiar with the series, welcome home. What better place to start with making a guide on the game that started it all? With this list, I am positive that you will improve your performance at this game by knowing the full extent of the weapons, magic, and abilities at Sora's disposal. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and share the video if you enjoy. Let's do it. Starting off at the Awakening Chamber, you will end up on a circular glass platform with 3 weapons in front of you. Now, at this beginning part, you will be prompted with some important options that can impact your gameplay. These 3 weapons are the sword, shield, and staff. At first glance, this may not seem too important, but they are, and if you know which to choose, you can tailor the game to how you want to play it. This will affect your final stats, number of item slots, as well as the ordering of which you unlock different skills throughout the game. Here are each one's benefits. The shield is a fairly good balance of every stat, but is mainly centered around strength and defense, starting Sora off with 8 item slots. The staff, on the other hand, is focused around MP and AP, and Sora will start off with 6 item slots. And lastly, the sword focuses purely on strength and will have 7 starting item slots. But these stats can be obtained throughout your playthrough by obtaining and synthesizing different equipment. These changes can be a big deal well into the game, so please choose and listen carefully, as there's more to these weapons than that. If you're specifically worried about items, then choose the shield, since you'll end off with most by endgame. As for abilities, the game will dictate when you learn them based off of which weapon you pick. Lucky for you guys, I have a screenshot right here showing each and every ability you obtain from leveling up and when. Personally, I recommend the shield to average players as you learn Scan, Guard, and Leaf Bracer relatively early in the game. But if you're going for a level 1 challenge run, I'd recommend the sword, as defense won't matter, since you're going against bosses that will most likely 2-tap you or 3-tap you. Anyway, feel free to pause this picture and save it. Link to it is in the description, and it does not belong to me. Next would be giving up one of the weapons. Basically, when you give up one, you'll start off with less stats than said weapon centers on. Though this option isn't really as important as the weapon you do pick, so this isn't a big deal. Anyway, moving on. Sora will then appear on Destiny Islands, where 3 of his Final Fantasy friends will ask him questions. Let me explain how these questions will also impact your gameplay. If you choose the first answers to these questions, you will get the Conclusion of Dawn, which will increase the amount of EXP you gain from level 1 through 40. If you choose the middle answers, you will get Midday, and have an equal leveling speed throughout the game. Lastly, if you choose the bottom options, you will get Dusk and gain more EXP from level 40 through 100. If you're willing to have a slight challenge early game, then go for the Dusk option, as it will also make your level grinding to max later on quicker in comparison to the other options. Though it's entirely up to you. Great, you chose your first options. Now let's move on to the gameplay. Starting things off is an ability called EXP 0. If you're not playing on Proud Mode, feel free to skip past this part if you'd like. So, as the name implies, EXP 0 basically makes it so you cannot gain EXP with it activated. This is the first ability you start with, and you can utilize it efficiently if you have a hard time against certain battles. EXP 0 is an ability added to the HD remaster of Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, not only allowing for level 1 runs because the original Kingdom Hearts 1 was not created to be played on level 1, but EXP 0 gives you second chance and once more, 2 abilities that help you survive longer when inflicted with heavy damage. Furthermore, there is an overpowered phenomenon with this ability known as damage storage, which is my sole reason for mentioning this in the first place. Now, this will only apply to you if you're playing the game on Proud Mode, but this is a pretty interesting mechanic. If you do end up playing it on Proud, you could just turn the ability on and off whenever you feel like it for the benefits, not even having to play it on level 1, which can be incredibly useful. But just remember to keep it off when leveling up, and then turn it back on when you want to use it on big battles. What is this damage storage thing I just mentioned, and why would this help for you to know? Well, basically there is a damage multiplier if you land a combo finisher, which will give you a set amount of damage that is far greater than the average damage output. Due to this mechanic, the game will always have the last keyblade hit in a combo. so you need to land a combo finisher in order to use it properly, and will only stay until you swing with your keyblade again. This multiplier can be used with both summons and spells and can result in some insane damage, and here's why. Just look at this man's getting absolutely clapped hard by this damage storage. Moving on, I'm going to be talking about some summons. Each can be used for different things, but there are two in particular that I recommend players use, that being Mushu and Simba. Mushu is great against single targets and with damage storage can absolutely decimate boss fights and other strong enemies. Simba on the other hand charges up powerful attacks and works best for taking out waves of Heartless. Now with the summons out of the way, let's talk a little bit more generally. So unlike Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3, Kingdom Hearts 1 is not floaty whatsoever, and when you cast a spell or do an attack, you will still fall from the air relatively quickly and not float, though there are ways you can deal more damage quickly by jumping and attacking a certain way, and here's how. First things first is to never spam the attack button in this game in particular. Unlike some of the other games, Sora may have a delay before swinging again, so if you just mash X, you run the possibility of losing momentum mid-combo because his animations need to be completed first. So the quickest way for Sora to deal attacks is to wait for each of Sora's swing animations to be complete. If you do that in between your swings, it will result in Sora swinging faster, resulting in better combo potential. This is most notable for aerial attacks. Now, despite not being floaty, performing in the air is still extremely important despite this game not being floaty, and here's why. If you lightly tap the jump button, Sora will do a little hop rather than a big jump. These little hops are otherwise known as short hops, and they can be used to attack mid-air, land quicker, and can rinse and repeat, resulting in more consistent damage. Doing things this way is much quicker than just attacking on the ground, and certain spells also work well with short hopping, such as Blizzard and Gravity, but certain spells like Fire also work well when used repeatedly on the ground, and certain combos also work better on the ground, especially while using Guard, so keep that in mind. Now each boss is built a certain way, so certain combos work well on certain fights, but here's the cool thing about using 2 and 3 hit combos with short hopping. Take Leon for example. See how I'm hitting him once and then twice and then 3 times? Yeah, well if you do just one 3-hit combo, then you're only going to be able to get 3 hits per combo rather than 6, so you do want to try and space your hits out like that and short hop. I would say short hopping was an absolute godsend when fighting Clayton. I was hit stunning him over and over and over because of how many finishers I was able to land quickly. And before you knew it, he was knocked off the stealth sneak and I was able to finish him off with no damage on level 1. Next tip is something I'd like to mention about choosing your keyblade in game. When you open the menu and look at your equipment, you will notice the number of each weapon's strength and MP. But when picking a keyblade, you should also look at how long the keyblade is, as it can help you better land attacks, and its possibility of landing a critical hit as well. How critical hits work in this game is that certain finishers can deal more damage than you're normally doing. In the description of most keyblades, it could tell you the probability of landing a critical hit. Now you may be asking, Mav, which keyblade do you prefer to use when taking into account all of these things? My first obvious answer is the ultimate weapon, but not everyone is going to get that keyblade, and One Winged Angel is obtained by defeating Sephiroth. But you could also use Metal Chocobo, which is a well-rounded weapon when taking into account all of these things. Do keep in mind that if you choose One Winged Angel in particular, you will sacrifice your MP, so use other MP-heavy equipment. Have fun and choose what keyblade you like, but not all are created equally. Now, after all of that, you may be asking for a quick way to level up. Well, not only do you get EXP from defeating enemies and parrying attacks, but you can even quicken your XP gain by gathering certain items. The first item you can get is obtained by collecting every torn page and completing the 100 Acre Wood. It's an EXP ring which will increase experience gain by 20%. Now if you're leveling up and trying to synthesize items because you either want the ultimate weapon or you just feel like it, you can also create the EXP earring when you have access to the synthesizing shop, which will increase your EXP gain by another 20%, though you'll need to gather the items first, so that'll take some time. So just go around killing Artless and collect items as you go. Look up a guide on how to collect the items, or if you want me to make a guide, I'll make a guide. Lastly, there are 2 ways to make Donald and Goofy incredibly useful to your arsenal in the game. If you open the menu and go to Customize, scroll over to where Donald and Goofy are, and a variety of options will appear. You can give them items during a tough fight and utilize them by setting their HP and MP items to immediate, which is incredibly helpful. Take it from me, if you stock them up and use them correctly, you will never complain about Donald again. Also, if you're in a tight squeeze and want to control your party members, you can make them attack. Lock onto an enemy using the right bumper and press the triangle or Y button, and they will do just that. Just look at Clayton getting his butt kicked by this. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? It's honestly hilarious when I saw this the first time. Anyway, if you want to use any of your newly learned skills, head on over to Merlin's and do that practice magic minigame. You can practice your short hopping, your magic short hopping, your short hop combos, your 2-hit and 3 hits. It's, you know, it's good to practice those things. Heck, I know I do from time to time. Anyway, that just about wraps things up for today. I hope I helped you all learn something new. And honestly, I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 1 for so many years, but every playthrough I always happen to learn something new. I've been doing some recent research on how to improve, and I hope you all enjoyed this video I put together. And stay tuned, and thank you all for watching. Peace out, fellas.